Islam. Bona morning, boys. Bona morning. Bona morning. Peace and love, Stone 5. Islam. All well. Islam. Undercut above. Islam, Morris Lighthouse. Let's talk real quick. Minister Sabir, peace and love. Let's talk real quick, Morris. Let's talk real quick, please. Please, bear with me. But I gotta address something within our community that's going on right now. All right, Royal J Day, what's up? Islam, brother. Let's address something. Now I want to read something to y'all real quick of what this Moore said to me. And I don't know if this is like the new wave, because I've been presented with this idea a couple times. Some Moore wanted to present something to me, and we talked about it. And I just want y'all to just think about this. I got a couple of key questions, right? So the wave seems to be you already know, green tea with turmeric. The wave seems to be some type of, and maybe y'all down with this, living off grid, or more is living off grid or something like that, okay? And I want to address that real quick, okay? Moore told me, I said, hey, a lot of most Moors who haven't produced much always had the most to say. That's a post I posted on Facebook, right? And then so this Moore, he came and he said, most of the Moors claiming to produce or be productive are agents, right? Islam, Adamu. He said most of the Moors claiming to produce or productive are agents. So success seems to be an illusion. If ones want real success, they would need to leave their comfort zone, unify. Okay, I'm with that. Leave comfort zone, unify. We're unified though, so I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know who they didn't give you the memo that we're not unified. Then he said we need to separate from the grid and begin building their own. That's what the Moors need to do. We need to separate from the grid and start building our own. None of you are trying to do that. You're all chasing the euro and asking for permission. Islam. Now, to the unassuming mind, that sounds all good, right? But let's really break down the facts. Islam, Wandering Prophet, Ron Moriel, peace and love, brother. I want you to understand this. One of our big problems as a nation, why would we run to the woods before we run to the prophet? Why would we run to the woods before we run to the temples? We know the temples aren't, most in general sense, most of them aren't right, but that's why we started here. So that we're not under 501c3. So that we are attached to the 805 the way that the prophet has set it up. Right here. What we doing right here. I opened it up even online so that Moors who don't have a temple near them can proclaim their nationality. I don't care if you don't even come to the meetings and stuff. Because the prophet said if you do nothing else, declare your nationality. Proclaim your nationality. Come, pay your first month's dues. We'll send you your card and your literature, and you a card carrying more. If you don't ever come back, I just want the peace and blessings of your birthright to be upon you. This ain't no this ain't no popularity contest. This ain't no Moors trying to get clout kind of thing. We are getting kidnapped. We are getting our children taken. What you think this is, man? Run off the grid and all this kind of stuff? What you mean? So why would we run to the woods before we run to the temples? As if the prophet didn't say it's going to take 10 to 16 secretaries to take all the names. He said Moors going to be running to the temple so fast their coattails going to be standing out. So let's talk about this off the grid, because I don't think a lot of people are critically thinking about what off the grid really means. Okay? Off the grid means no cell phone. That's off the grid. You can't talk about living off grid and you're on the cellular towers. That's on the grid. I was an electrician, an overhead electrician. I worked with power lines and all that kind of stuff. Many of you might know. And I've talked about it before. We call the power system, the electrical system, the grid. Right? We call it the grid. So if you're claiming that you're wanting to go live off grid, you're literally saying no cell phone, no power lines, no connections to the grid, right? That's off grid. So what most Moors think they're talking about living off grid, they're really talking about living in isolation. You're not talking about living off the grid. Living off the grid is chopping your own wood, not doing anything having to do with being on the grid. Okay? If you go buy land from a European or a colonizer, how are you off the grid? If that land doesn't have a lodial title, how are you going to be off the grid? If you have a deed or a so-called mortgage, how are you off the grid? Right? Does that make any kind of sense? Right? Hold on, so let some people know what's up. Because there's some key points. We got to be serious, more. It sounds good, but where'd you get that from? Where in the prophet's literature did he say, hey, look, y'all, we need to go live off the grid? Where's this coming from? You know what I'm saying? I'm not really understanding that paradigm where we were told what to do. We were told what a true Moor is and all this kind of stuff. What's a true Moor? Anybody in the chat? What's a true Moor? What makes you a Moor unequivocally a Moor? It's one simple thing. The prophet. Right? Just following the prophet's instructions. That's a true Moor. Because he didn't know you were Moor, you wouldn't have known you were one without him. Peace and love, my brother. Islam. Okay? So I'm going to tell you like this. Living off the grid is that's not the Moorish move. We can have Moorish retreats off the grid. You know what I'm saying? The place, like when Jesus went to go in the wilds and he went to fast and contemplate and get himself together. Okay, we could do something like that. Boom, let's go off the grid that way. They say, man, I need to go to a month of Moorish therapy, and I need to really go within. I need to cut these cycles. I need to, figure out what's been holding me back from my best life. I'm not running off to no woods. Civilization is Moorish. Why do we always think that the answer is running away and all this kind of stuff? The prophet said that we're here to uplift fallen humanity. Sorry, but Europeans, they're humanity. Don't we all know the story of Yaqub and the Moabite test being the mother of civilization? They might not have the same father, but they got the same mother. They have the same mother. You can't take that away from them. The prophet said, I'm a universal prophet. He said, the European is helping me. Why not you? So the prophet was working with the European. What no, you know what I'm saying? And no, you're right. The Albions aren't Moorish. But exactly, you can't uplift fallen humanity living in the woods. That's my point. You're isolating yourself. And if you have to buy the land from a European and pay taxes to the European, just because you're out in the country doesn't make you off the grid, y'all. If you have a well dug, and you have a power line going to those facilities that you off the grid with, you're just isolated in the country. You're not off the grid. Okay? We gotta think these things out, y'all. Another thing, if you really about that life, and y'all think the move is to go move into the woods somewhere and be off the grid, why are you online planning this? Why are you on Instagram or these different chats talking about living off the grid? Isn't that kind of like defeating the whole purpose of being off the grid? Is letting them know the plan and that you're like starting that whole idea and that whole movement. Stuff that I do with the temple and all that, y'all just see, hey, come to the classes, come to the holiday meetings, come to the Sunday school. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I might throw a little, hey, we made these books. But y'all not privy to the plans and stuff like that unless you become a member of the temple and we move together in that way. Why you wanna build online about some like living off in isolation type stuff? But hit the phone line, y'all better get on a Zoom call and do that. Alright? Once again, our duty as Moors is to uplift fallen humanity, not to run into the woods. We have a duty to help everyone. Right? So-called blacks, they need our help. So-called whites, they need our help. Who else but the Moor? Who else but the one that is the direct heir of Allah? Who is the direct heir of all that is love? Who's the direct heir of the original manifest? They need us. We can't just leave them and go out of here. So we gotta know what true Moor is. The prophet tells you, he makes it plain. He makes it real plain. Mornell Bay, exactly. Who are Adam and Eve, right? Who are Adam and Eve, right? Question 57, right? Who were Adam and Eve? They are the mother of and father of the human family, right? Asiatics and Moors. Okay, the human family. Asiatics and Muslim. Sorry. So there's a distinction because a Muslim is one that becomes the will of Allah, right? The Albion can't be an Asiatic, but they can be a Muslim. They can be a Muslim. They can follow Allah. If that's where their heart leads them, you can't follow Allah. That's why the Prophet was taking members and having people that were from other nationalities proclaim their nationality in the temple, because this is the real American consulate embassy, right? But we'll get back to that. Let's get on this Moorish literature real quick, and let's talk about what a true Moor is. What a true Moor is, huh? He says it plain as day. And the Prophet warns all Muslims. The Prophet warns all Muslims. And this is a letter that's supposed to be read at every meeting. He says, I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. You think the world's crumbling and it's Armageddon and we got to run off in the woods and stuff like that? That's European thinking. The people I see on that the most, I see prepper and these prep shows and guys, you know what I'm saying? They off in the woods training and getting all this types of tons of wood stacked up and piled up. The Prophet told his Moors it's going to be a breakfast fight. What we look like out there chopping trees and stuff like that when we don't need to, when we're supposed to be filling these seats, filling these positions of diplomacy. We're supposed to be interjecting into the affairs of men. How are you going to be in the affairs of men and you off in the woods? You off in the woods collecting rainwater. when or if some other nation wants to sit down in delegation with us more, what are we going to do? Invite them to the camper? We're going to invite them to the tent? Come on out to the tent. It's about time y'all recognize my royalty and my sovereignty as I'm hiding off in the woods like a dang squirrel or a chipmunk, gathering up nuts and trying to struggle through the winters. How are we going to go live in the woods and we don't even have, our education systems set up? Diplomacy. The affairs of the bears, the affairs of the chipmunks. Come on, y'all. I'm being so serious. This is not the wave. This is not the move. Me personally, I'm not going out to live in no woods. I've done construction. heavy duty construction. Cranes, knee deep in mud boots. Come home, affairs of Sasquatch. Come home drenched in mud. Heavy construction, 10 years. I've done distribution power line systems, underground power line systems, transmission power line systems. Hooked up those big substations y'all see, all that kind of stuff. I know construction. I've operated bobcats, backhoes, bulldozers, bucket truck, line trucks, digger derricks, any kind of truck. I drove semis, logger trucks. There's a lot that goes into what you think is constructing our own thing. Why wouldn't we want to just take back what's ours already? Why not join the affairs of men and delegate and present ourselves as a proper nation, unified under our prophet, under his temples, as instructed to do? Where did the prophet say this? I don't know anywhere in the prophet's literature where he says, hey, go off and live in the woods, and just in case things don't go how you like them to. If things aren't going, Islam, Queen Ra, if things aren't going how you like them to, that means we're not in line. That means we're probably not executing the prophet's plan. He told you this is well planned out. Caveat emptor, right? He told you he has this movement well planned and his powers can be called into play at any time. You can call it following the European. The European wants to help you. But he can only help you if you help yourself. If we help ourselves. Now the colonizer, if we want to talk about that, that's a different story. The colonizer is a different character. And yes, there is a difference in the sense that every European doesn't have a colonizer mindset, but every colonizer has a colonizer mindset. That's why we call them colonizers, because they want your stuff. Okay? They want your birthright, and you giving it up to them, running off to the woods. Now, let's say something goes down. You think that you have a better chance off in the woods, isolated, where incident can be an isolated incident? That's right where they would want us. I would think. Moors, somewhere off in some woods, living. You easy pickings. Special ops team come through in the middle of the night. Boom, wiped off the map, because you got a contract probably with the colonizer who sold you the land. They know exactly where you at. You're not buying it in the name of the temple. Right? Nobody's saying, hey, let's get the land in the name of the temple. That way we can at least have the religious protection. Let's get our 20,000 together and let's go see if Grand Sheik Cujo can buy us some land in the name of the temple. At least we have something like that. See if, I don't know. You know what I mean? But we gotta think, y'all. Running off and hiding instead of fighting for what's rightfully ours. Exactly. And it's a breakfast fight. They all know it's ours. But guess what they know? Guess what the European knows, what he has? While some of y'all still don't have your 101s and your Qurans or your Moorish literature, they got it. They have it. They know exactly what this is supposed to look like by the main grantor of the trust. They cannot give you the trust They cannot make you beneficiary if you don't follow the instructions of the grandparent. That's like your mama leave you some money and she say in her will, but he's gotta get a GED and you don't have a GED. Guess what? You cannot access that money, that cash, that fiat, until you go get that GED. That's the terms. That's the stipulations of receiving the benefits. These are the stipulations of receiving the benefits. We talking about trust all the damn time. How you gonna get your trust off in the woods? I don't see nothing in his literature. So let's look at this. What the prophet said, what a true Moor is. I'm just going down to the third paragraph as I have it, right? He says, all true Moors. Go argue with the prophet. Don't argue with me. Go argue with the prophet. Islam. You cannot access anything without a nationality. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. Let me run that back because that might be complicated for some. Let's look at what a true Moor is by the words of the prophet. Go argue with the prophet if you don't agree with the prophet's edicts. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophets. That's a truster's edict. You want into the trust? You want to get into the 10-10-5-9-0-5? Obey the law as laid down to them by the prophet. But what's the prophet's law? Fortunately, our prophet was a master, and he was Salvete frater. He was a master, and he was gracious enough to say, here's the law. Just like that. Right? Because he called it the divine constitution and bylaws. There's some law. What does Act 6 of the divine constitution and bylaws say? Act 6 says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. Not with them, not with him, not with Great Seal, not with your favorite Moorish teacher, master teacher guy. Honors to the master teachers, honors to the Great Seal and CM Bay. High honors to CM Bay, because without CM Bay, I don't know what these de facto temples might have done with the information and the knowledge. And we might not have got what we need. So he had a divine measure. He was an angel that kept this thing going how it was supposed to. But now that we back here, now that we can access anybody online, since we can get these things from RB Bay Publications, we must get back to what the prophet said to do. And he said, Act 6, with us. Now, that's the prophet's law. What did he decree it under? The prophet's law is under the Moorish Science Temple of America, the divine constitution and bylaws. And then Act 6 says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. So Moors would be like, I am the Moorish Science Temple of America. Okay. Islam, Moor. So with us, since you are the Moorish Science Temple of America, proclaim your nationality. It's the only way. Other things are identifiers. You know, our proclamations and stuff that we got filled out at the Great Seal is great to have, and it's identifiers, and it has served me very well. Their nationality card has come in clutch. All right. But now we want to bring this thing full circle. We must get back to beneficiary status and follow the prophet's law. So not only did he give you the divine constitution and bylaws that most of us don't read, but call ourselves true Moors, when he said all true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by the prophet. So if you haven't read in detail the divine constitution and bylaws, if you don't know what they say, or you don't have a copy available to access, to look at them, if you don't even think they're relevant, you're not a true Moor. Not by Brother Athazaz's words, by Prophet Noble Ali. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down for them by the Prophet. So, you want to argue with the Prophet, or you want to get in line? You got two options. You can argue against the Prophet and say he wasn't right, or you can follow his instructions, his edicts. Now, Brother Athazaz, don't be mad at me. I'm calling out the BS that is not going to help us get anywhere as a people, as a nation. That's all I'm trying to do. You cannot sit on the middle of the fence. Exactly. So the Prophet was even so more gracious through the will of Allah to give us what else? If it wasn't plain enough that the divine constitution and bylaws is the law that tells you to go proclaim your nationality at the temple, then he says, I'll give you this questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans. I know it's probably backwards. Questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans. Right? So, what did he say in there? Just in case we got it all mixed up, how this thing really works. Act 6 of the additional laws says the same thing. Islam, Mother Islam. Act 6 says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. You claim you're a true Moor. Proclaim your nationality. With us. Because this is literature of the Moorish Scientific of America. This is the Prophet's edicts. Okay? That's a true Moor. Following the Prophet's law. Because you know your victory is sure. It's very, very simple stuff. Very simple. Alright? So, while we're running off to the woods and making plans, sloppy plans, and man, you know what I'm saying? We gotta get us some saws and, what's the point? What's the point? Don't have to run back into these temples when it's going to be a shameful time to run into it. Where the Moors, like me and you, going to be looking at the ones who didn't get the memo or who refused the memo crazy, like, why didn't you come when the wave hit? When Brother Athazaz was online going, hey, look, I got an online Moorish Science Temple of America. I can get you your nationality cards. Get in the temple. While Brother Cujo's trying to tell you, get in the temple. While Brother Mafi's like, get in the temple. While Taj Tariq told you, get in the temple. R.V. Bey told you, go to the temple. Yes, R.V. Bey told you to get in the temple. They just told you the criteria that the temple supposed to have. And then, what do Moors do? If we look around and the criteria is not met, then we find a way and align ourselves with the will of Allah. And then a way will be provided. So, exactly, you just missed the boat. Don't be looking crazy when you miss the boat. Don't be looking crazy when you miss the boat. Not me. Our Brother Athazaz did not tell you proclaim at the temple. The Prophet told you that. The Prophet told you you're going to be running in. He said the preacher's going to be running in. He said the preacher's going to get beat into the temples. So what you mean? You're going to run into the woods before the temple. Islam, I hope that works out for you. I really sincerely do. So, off-grid living. Maybe we need to think off-grid retreat. hey, we got a place where Moors can go chill out for a little time, get their mind right. And then we got to come back to the affairs of men and uplift this fallen humanity. You're not going to get away from the colonizer by running into the woods. That's what he wants. You're isolated. Ain't no news cameras out there. Ain't nobody to protect you out in the woods. There's nobody on the street with a camera phone to go, man, I'm capturing this. They're attacking the Moors. Go off in the woods. As if you didn't sign your name onto the deed or the parcel of land. Now they know exactly where you at still. Right? They know where you at. What you mean? So off grid, not for me. I'm not living off the grid and all that kind of stuff. I'm about to stay in here and face these storms and weather these storms so we can be in the position that we need to be in when all affairs of business must be back in the hands of the Asiatics. Nobody's gonna come find me off in the woods to give me back the dang keys to the city. We keep abandoning. I'm in the temple because it gave me and my family structure and definitely built a better character so I can be amongst the affairs of men and carry the message since I am Asiatic. Islam. You join the temple so you can learn the structures of government. The prophet said, the Europeans going to teach you how to run a government. Once again, what governments are we running off in the woods? He's just teaching you government so you can take it back. He told you they got to go home. Do we not understand or trust our prophet all of a sudden when we read a couple news articles about the system crashing and stuff? Good. Maybe that's the thing that's needed so that we will organize ourselves. Well, I'm going to tell you like this. I'm not running out to the woods to find you. I'm going to let you do your thing. Yeah, you can watch that for me. I'm going to let you do your thing. You go off be in the woods. Now, I want to make us another point too. You want to live off grid, like I said. Living off grid does not mean having power. Living off grid does not mean connected to the city water line or nothing like that. Living off grid does not mean having a mortgage and a deed to a piece of land. Living off grid is off grid. That's hardcore stuff. Living off grid means throw them cell phones down. And don't pick it up no more. That's living off grid. Other than that, they gonna find you. They know right where you at. You just alone now. Okay? But let's not forget how this happened. You ever we call them, and I don't, this is just what we call them because it's funny because they running around with they stuff out. You seen them in Africa and some of these Aboriginal people and stuff like that. The ones rushing around. My wife calls them the dusty dinglings. And but the reason we say that is because what self-respecting this being doesn't understand that you don't run around with your dingling out. But you know what happened? Those aren't the oldest civilizations on earth. We are. Civilized people show ancient, antiquatal knowledge. We think that we're supposed to be out here running around with dusty dingling out. No, that's not the move. Those people who are living like that in the Aboriginal situation, those were Moors of the older states who did the same thing. They ran off into the wilderness to get away from the problems or the whatever. They degenerated into that. How do you know that? Because they still have a sense of style, a sense of fashion. They might have their certain body, their body modifications, their certain type of headdress. They might have a certain type of They still have some of the principles. The problem is they lost their civilized mind. They lost a lot of that culture by scissoring themselves from the main body of the Moors. All right? That's how that happens. If you're dealing with dark-skinned people, people of high melanated concentration, you're dealing with civilization. What do you mean that there's people still running around right now off in the wilds of Australia or Africa with the dinglings out, ashy, but we had pyramids a million years ago? Those are those same people who was hard-headed and stiff-necked to the prophets that came for them. I'm just telling you the history. It's no whatever. The European, and you can check with your boy Asir, the master teacher. The one that all these cities, they came and occupied them after us. They didn't have to build this stuff like that. I got a book, a 150-year-old book that lets me know right here in my county, so-called, that we had castles. And I went to the castle, and they turned it into a history museum. But you know what it was before that? City Hall. Because that's what they do with our buildings. They turn them into governmental buildings. Look up Sacramento City Hall Mosque. You know, all the dome shape and stuff with the congressional buildings and government buildings. Mosques of the states of Barbary that we had here already. Chicago's World Fair, St. Louis World Fair. You see the pictures. Moorish. Punic Moorish. Because we was dressed like this. And then we had buildings with columns and triangles and all this kind of stuff. This is our stuff. I'm not running off in the woods acting like the so-called European built all this stuff. Stay right here. Nope. Y'all gotta leave. I ain't leaving. I know it's my stuff. All right? What are we hiding from? What are we afraid of? Only reason I can find out somebody will be afraid and they want to run off into the woods is because they haven't got into these. Yeah, more farms and groceries is cool. But if you was here at the beginning of the video, I was directly addressing a brother that told me that we need to go live off in the woods. He told me we need to live off in the woods. So, if you were at the Unity meeting, you know where I'm at with it. Brother Marquell, you saw my presentation, so let's not, you dig what I'm saying? We know that. I'm talking about people who saying go live in the woods. Are you saying, if you're not saying go live in the woods, then what you talking about? So that lets me know that you think that I think something because what you might have been talking about, what y'all been doing. But I'm addressing the brother who said we should go live in the woods. So y'all tell me what's up. Farming and all that kind of stuff is good, but ain't nobody talking about farming. They talking about, and when we talking about that situation, they talking about going and getting land that ain't farmland already. So you're going to spend just as much money turning it into farmland because all the stuff that's on it, when you could go get some farmland for the same price that you would spend trying to transition it into farmland. Save yourself all the work. And so, yeah, Moors want to build together. We want to move together, but we don't want to trust each other. How are we going to put into a land plot together just based off what? What's the agreements? Because I'm moving with the prophet. The prophet said, proclaim your nationality at the temple. I put the edict out. Y'all, everybody looking for de jure temples. Ain't no good temples. Ain't no good temples. You go to Cujo, but Cujo's like, look, jurisdictional issues, brother. You know, I'm in Toronto. So I don't even want to do you like that because I can't represent you the way I would want to. But you could come up to Toronto and I got you. So y'all not doing that. So then I say, hey, I got a temple. What's up? We can get you your card and get you proclaimed, get you on record. But ones want to make membership moves without being a member. How can I mix finance with people that want to watch from the rafters? How can I take dues paying members and what they paying into and what they contributed into and mix it with people who don't trust me enough to fill out an application and join the temple? But they swear they've been looking for a temple. Why some of these temples been holding nationality cards back like they got a secret weapon? Because they know they do. Because they know one day you're going to need them. The prophet said the card's going to change on you in your pocket. Everybody got their reasons. This is my reason. I don't need reason when I can follow instructions. Everybody got reasons, but then we're not talking about the reasons. Anybody who's ever tried to build with me, who's ever tried to sit down with me, right, has been able to access me. Right? So if you got questions, I come on and I get with the Moors and say, hey, what you want to do? What can I do to help you understand? Nobody reaching out, but ones want to build. They want to build, and I say, cool, that's cool. Now, if you want to learn or you want to build on just knowledge and information and stuff like that, we can do that all day. But when we're talking about making moves together, we break bread. We contract. That's Moorish. Even if it's verbal, that's one thing. But running a temple means I got to do what he said. That's it. Got to help build the ark if you want to be on it. This ain't lip service. This is Act 6, Divine Constitution and Bylaws. It's got nothing to do with my personal feelings. At all. We gonna keep building. We gonna keep. You wanna know something? Hey, brother Atazaz, hit me up. Call me. It's all good. If you wanna know something, hey man, I just, man, this has been on my mind, and I just wanna know this or that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I got you. Because there's nothing to hide when you deal with the Prophet Noble Ali. So you got to be members to uplift fallen humanity. Well, let's do it like this, brother. Let's do it like this. Where was Noble Drew Ali born? In the state of North Carolina, 1886. What is his nationality? Moorish American. What is your nationality? Moorish American. Why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. 15. For what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? For the uplifting of fallen humanity. For what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? For the uplifting of fallen humanity. So Allah's prophet made the temple to uplift fallen humanity. So join the temple if you want to uplift fallen humanity. How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? By teaching them to be themselves. So, does that answer your question? Now, who said anything about contributing? That's called zakata. That's donations. But when ones come to me and say, hey, bro, we want to do this. We want to move like this. That's not contributing. That's working out a plan and setting things into action and making moves with finance. That's not contributing. That's not a sympathizer. And show me the contributions. You know what I'm saying? What's the contribution? Prophet said join his temples. Right? A sympathizer was European. Remember Arabs, Japanese, Chinese, Turks, and had membership cards for the temple? Islam. So when we talk about how the prophet say to go acquire land and the finance and all that kind of stuff, let's see. Because I don't have to say how I feel. If you run into me and anybody knows me, I'm just going to say what the prophet said. Because he was getting results. He was getting results by using the Moorish Science Temple. You can't do it without him. He said that in the message to be read to all in all meetings. Right? Ain't that what he said? So what did he say? Let's see about the buying of the temple. When any said temple desires to purchase property, they must first notify the grand body or the prophet, which what we would do is refer to the prophet's edicts. Does this line up with what the prophet said? Right? Must be purchased under the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America or Noble Drew Ali. So, unless you Noble Drew Ali, you got to purchase things under the Moorish Science Temple of America. An individual name should never be applied because you're a part of the what? The Moorish Divine and National Movement. So if you're using these things for Moorish and Divine National Movements and you're purchasing and you want to purchase things with a temple or through a temple and use the religious things of the temple, he says purchase them under that name, Moorish Science Temple of America. An individual name should never be applied. Why is that? Because we have the religious corporate trust. So when you put them under this, you get the protections and you get to let the prophet work. As long as you honorable and follow the law, you should have no problem. I, Noble Drew Ali, am responsible for all finance. So therefore, let I, the prophet, know what is on me. He said everything, every business transaction or anything pertaining to finance is to be transacted in the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America or Noble Drew Ali. We're not going all high level spiritual. The temple is the body stuff. We know that stuff. But you're not saying that when you clocking in 8 a.m., 9 a.m. at the job or whatever. You're not walking in, so I cannot contribute to something going towards uplifting fallen humanity without being a member. Yes, you can contribute. Of course. Well, of course you can, brother. What do you mean? What's the contribution got to do with making plans, making moves? Let's just say it like this. We got our grand sheik on here. This is my grand sheik that I consider the grand sheik, national grand sheik, the grand sheik of the people. My brother, Cujo. He has done over 3,000 videos for free. Free information. You can watch Canaan Land videos online for a year straight and be good. I mean, you'll be good out here as far as Moorish knowledge and all these kind of things. But go to Cujo and offer a donation for the temple. He will gladly and humbly accept it. Go to Toronto and want to start interjecting into the affairs of his Moorish Science Temple and making moves, then he gonna hand you an application. So, come on. It's the same thing here. He's not running an organization where he's trying to, deal with the Moors in the sense of like, hey, you just over there, I'm over here, and all this kind of stuff. He's trying to build with Moors who say, bro, let's go. Here it is. I'm down. I'm down with the Prophet's Temple. I want to be a member. I want to join, proclaim my nationality. That's exactly what I'm on. Because that's the first requirement. We can't move together if we don't have trust as the first thing. Want to be, coming to the Grand Sheik. Hey, Grand Sheik, man, I want to build with you, man. You the Grand Sheik, man. Thanks for your knowledge and stuff. All right, more here. Join the temple. Well, man, that ain't really the move I want to do, Grand Sheik. Oh, so what you want to do? Well, I want to talk about what we should do, and I want to start acquiring things, and I want to start mixing up our finance and start making contracts with, different things for land and stuff, but I just want to do it like, separate. I want to do it separate from the temple, but, I support it. I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? Here goes some money. We can do this. Oh, I don't know about y'all, man. I don't know what y'all know about me or think about me, but this wasn't always my life. I lived on the dark side. I done things that, we've been there. You know what I'm saying? That's all. I'm just gonna put it like that. I've been there. So what it makes me think is like, okay, do the Moors not trust the Prophet? Or at least if you have a question about something, just come to your brother and pick my brain. Show me where I'm wrong or where I might be missing a step. But this sidebarring, you know what I mean, this kind of energies and stuff like that, I don't move like that. I try to be an open book and try to be there for the people. You ask me a question, I'm going to give you an honest reply as best as I can. If I don't, I'm going to refer you to who can or what can. People get upset, but find somebody that's got something bad I did to them or something that I cheated them on or schemed them on or something out here. Ask any Moors who dealt with me. So I don't even come with that kind of energy. I'm just trying to make sure that if we moving together, we all protected under the Prophet's temples. That's it. Why? Because when you proclaim at this temple, you'll have your nationality ID card. You'll also get a certificate of enrollment that you can go and get recorded and put on record if you want. That's going to attach to the recordings of the amendment and the resolution. of the temple. Because what we did was we set ours up according to the rules and usages of the 805, the original document that the prophet set up. I have no problem showing you how we did that. But if I say, hey, Morris, all right, turn your applications, proclaim your nationality because you have a temple, and you go and blow me off, but want to move with me, I can't, what we supposed to do, bro? You can come learn, we can talk, I can help you. You can say, hey man, what's this? What's this mean? What's this piece of history? What's this thing? Or you can say, hey Grand Sheik, man, I think this. Or you was wrong about this. And then I can go, very well. But if we're gonna move on finances, on land purchasing, and uplifting fallen humanity, we're going to do it according to what the prophet told us to do. Am I wrong for that? Am I wrong for feeling not trusted? A sheik is a trustee. I could give everything, every penny, every cent I have to Brother Cujo and tell him, hey man, hold on to this. I'll be back in 5 years. And I wouldn't even second guess that when I came back in 5 years, he'd be like, here you go, more. I wouldn't even second guess it. That's the kind of trust. The Moors don't trust the temples. If you don't trust the temples, you don't trust the prophet. But how are you going to know if you don't know what he said? And if you don't trust the temples, and I say, hit me up and let me know what you don't trust, because I know the Moors don't trust the temples because I didn't trust the temple. Why do you think that Allah set it up where I can start this demonstration? Because there wasn't many honorable temples out here who wasn't moving with 501s, who wasn't moving under the 805, who was moving with a 501c3. You want to build, but then if you don't trust my temple, then why are you building with me? What's the point? If you want to build with me, you find something in me that you say, man, this brother right here. So moving forward, knowing that we have a temple demonstration, why wouldn't, what's the discrepancy if you trust me enough to build with me? How do you trust me enough to build with me, but you don't trust me enough to build with me? I'm not lip servicing the prophet. I'm out here saying, okay, boom, we need these temples because the only way I see it to be able to be done is through the temple, because that's what the prophet said. So then, by the grace of Allah, we get it together. By the grace of Allah, we get it together. We like, okay, boom. Man, the Moors gonna love this. Alhamdulillah. I ain't come up with nothing new. He just helped me, took blinders off my eyes to certain things. Now I see. Boom. All right, Moors, guess what? Your brother Atazaz, who you know, don't be moving on that 501c3. I'm a Canaan land Moor. I'm a Canaan land Moor. We don't play certain games about certain things. Moors have been through a lot of confusion with these temples. So how do you get out of confusion, brother? You ask questions. When did you ask me questions that was making you confused? When did you ask any questions to help calm your confusion? Brother Atazaz, hey, you got some time, bro? Yeah, brother, I got you. What's up? Temple is 2 months old. What that got to do with it? If it's running right, it's running right. You want to help it build, you better get in now. We need officers in the temple. We need people, you know what I'm saying, to help get things organized. So if you need 6 to 8 months to join, then I'm going to need 6 to 8 months to build with you on certain things. The same thing, right? Let's buy this land, brother. What you mean? Let's buy this land, brother. You don't trust me? So when you trust me,